I moved into my studio, found out a week later that I was pregnant. Surprise. And so when my daughter was born, I was then only working 2 days a week. And I was like, why am I paying $2,500 a month for a studio that I'm at 8 times in a month? That worked out to like $300 a day in my studio.
Hey guys, Jenn Bruno Smith here from the High Rollers Club. I am here with Brooke Summer from Business Straight Up. She's a podcast, and your website too is Business Straight Up, right?
Yeah, businessstraightup.com. There's a ton of freebies and resources and all sorts of good stuff.
Wonderful. And you also have a studio, so you're a full-time boudoir photographer, right?
Yep.
Brooke Summer Photography.
Brooke Summer Photography, yes. I've been specializing in boudoir for 11 years now.
Wow, that's amazing. Where are you located? I forget.
Just outside of Denver, Colorado.
Oh, it's so pretty out there.
Yes, although it's cold right now. So
it is, yeah. It's 60 here. It's 60.
What?
I know. We haven't had a winter at all. There's been zero snow here. So it's a little concerning. You know, the whole like global warming thing freaks me out a little bit, but it is nice wearing shorts and a t-shirt in the beginning of March. So I don't know.
Especially because I live in flip-flops. So that's fabulous. That sounds good to
me. Right. Yeah. So, well, we just saw each other at WPPI. You were teaching there, which is really exciting. How did that go?
It was wonderful. It's so funny. It was my first year teaching there. I've taught at other conferences, but at WPPI, and I told my husband, what if only 4 people show up? But it was almost sold out. It was an amazing class on boudoir marketing, and it was so much fun.
That's awesome. Isn't that funny how like we all worry? Like we had a meet and greet for the High Rollers Club, and before, so like Umberto and I, we pulled over 3 chairs. We were in this little tiny area, and I was like, I don't know if anyone's gonna come. Like if 3 or 4 people come, we'll be pumped. And then people just kept coming, and then we had to keep expanding. And I was so happy. It's kind of like whenever you have a party or something, you're like, I don't know, are people gonna come? So it's always a big relief when people actually end up coming, right?
It is. And you know what? In the end, if only 3 people show up, then you just kick ass for those. Sorry, can I swear?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know my swear. I mean, I don't know. So this is also a podcast, right? But we have, this is on YouTube as well. So we have a video. So I'm actually at my makeup stand right now, and this is what I have beside my makeup stand. I don't know.
I love it.
And for the people listening on podcasts, it says, it's like a cross stitch that I paid someone to do for me because I can't cross stitch. I have time to cross stitch, but it says, I do not spew profanities. I enunciate them clearly like a fucking lady. So
that's right.
I keep this beside my makeup stand because that's what we do here.
Right.
Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about today? I know we were talking briefly before, maybe about websites, because you are the queen of business, and I always love hearing what you have to say. You have so many good things to talk about. But we're going to talk about websites today, right?
Yes, websites that convert, what that actually means. So many people don't know what that means.
Right.
But I think it's important, and I know, Jen, you're in the same boat, to reach out to creatives and photographers and tell them how important the business side is.
Right. So many people forget about that. They focus on the creative side, and then they're like, oh my gosh, why can't I buy dinner tonight? Oh, it's because I don't know how to run a business.
Right? I always tell my students, why are you buying a new light when you can't afford to keep the lights on?
You're right. Absolutely. Or why are you spending 30 minutes or 4 hours figuring out your logo whenever you don't have an investment menu that makes sense?
Yes.
It doesn't matter. People don't care what your logo looks like. They just don't care. What they care about is the fact that they have good images and you deliver them in a timely fashion, things like that.
Yes, absolutely. The business side is so important.
Yeah. So let's start with converting. What do you think the number one important thing is about a website to get potential clients to convert?
First and foremost, you need to know your ideal client in and out. And it's so funny to me when so many people talk about their ideal client. Oh, they drive this car, they make this much, they shop here, and that's bullshit. Those things matter, but they're not defining characteristics. Ultimately, you have to know what your client fears, what they love, what excites them, what they value. Because when you can directly speak to that, price is irrelevant. It's so funny. So many people are like, I charge $50, give them all the images. And I'm like, girl, competing on price is a race to the bottom.
You're right.
And
I love that. Can we say that louder for the people in the back row? Can I have that in neon lights, Brooke?
Tattooed right here.
I love that. Say that again for everyone that may have missed it the first time.
Competing on price is a race to the bottom.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Unless we're talking about like fun positions, the bottom is not the best.
Right. You're right. I love it.
It's so important to know your ideal client so that you can speak to them. And when you know how to speak to them appropriately, you can set your website up in a way that makes them so eager to click on the contact button that you don't even have to like talk them into it.
Right.
Ultimately, with a website, I think so many business owners don't know what it means to convert. What does it mean to have a website that converts?
Right.
Well, first, you need to decide what the overall goal of your website is. What does a conversion look like for you? Because it's different for everyone. One person may allow online booking, and so they want people to book on their website, and that would be a conversion for them. That's not my style. Some people do it, and that's cool. I prefer to get them to contact me. Once I can get them to contact me, once I can talk to them, usually I can book them. Because Boudoir especially requires that deeper level of trust. Like, they need to know that I'm not a creeper in my grandma's basement just shooting for spank make material. And so I'm just being very blunt today.
No, you know what's funny is, so we were shooting in Vegas. We did like a model shoot. We were recording more content for our YouTube channel, right? And the model I was shooting is also a photographer. And we were talking about like different cameras and how like maybe some are more old school than others. And I was like, yeah, you know, I think I may try to, we were comparing how like the basement shooters might use a certain brand over other brands. And the model was like, well, I actually shoot in my basement. And I was like, oh no.
So I do too.
Right. Well, I mean, shooting your basement is fine as long as you're not, you know, there's a specific type of.
Yeah. Well, I had a commercial space in downtown Denver, 1,600 square feet, 2 bedrooms, this gorgeous loft.
Right.
And I ultimately, like, there is a sense of legitimacy that comes with that.
Right.
But ultimately, I moved into my studio, found out a week later that I was pregnant. Surprise. And so when my daughter was born, I was then only working 2 days a week. And I was like, why am I paying $2,500 a month for a studio that I'm at 8 times in a month? That worked out to like $300 a day in my studio.
Right. Yeah.
So we custom built the studio in our new home. We built our house. Yeah, and it's custom done. The floors were, I mean, everything was very meticulously done. So I am not knocking basement shooters, but we all know, especially with Boudoir, there are so many creepers out there that just want women to take off their clothes.
That's true.
And it's super creepy. So I always ask my students, what are you doing on your website to make sure that they know that you are not one of them?
Yeah.
Because you can't just say it, right? Like, you can't by the way,
you have to definitely, if you're going to charge luxury prices, you have to have a luxury brand. It has to look luxury and feel luxury and speak luxury, and you have to speak to your client, like you're saying. So tell me more about, let's start, I guess, with the landing page. Like, what are some tips that people should keep in mind, I guess, even on the landing, because you only have 30 seconds, maybe less? Right?
Oh my gosh. I just looked this up earlier because it's in one of my classes. And I made a slide for it. I think it's 0.3 seconds.
Wow. I wasn't even close, was I?
0.05.
I was not even close.
That is crazy. Our attention span is so small anymore that you have a fraction of a second to capture someone's attention. Right. So on your homepage, I always say that there are 4 must-have homepage elements. And I actually say 5 because one's kind of a bonus, but it's more SEO focused. So
Yeah.
4 homepage must-haves. First, you need to have a headline. Some people call it a tagline. No matter what you call it, you need to be able to explain what you do in one sentence.
Okay.
And you need to be clear. I hate it when people are like, I empower women. Okay, well, what the fuck does that mean?
Right. So mine is Delaware's #1 boudoir photographer.
Yes. It says exactly what you do.
Yes.
And it says where you're located. Like,
Yeah.
it's super clear. And
that's the #1 question, right? That people all, where are you? So that's why my tagline is that, because you see it. It's right there.
Yes.
So it eliminates the #1 question that people have.
Which saves you time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So much time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So many people say things like, I empower women. Or my favorite is for wedding photographers, I love love.
Oh.
Really?
That's terrible.
It's just great. And you know what? To be fair, I did it too.
Yeah.
I totally did it.
Right.
So when you know better, you do better, and you grow and you learn. So first you need to have a headline or something in one sentence that says exactly what you do. And in your case, where, which is ideal. Number 2 is you need to have a who and how. So your visitors should know who you serve and how you serve them within 5 seconds of visiting your homepage. Right. So again, if you just say, I empower women, cool. I know that you serve women, but do you serve all women? Do you serve 19-year-olds? Do you serve 75-year-olds? Do you serve women who are a size 24? Do you serve women who are a size 0? Like, you need to be very specific in sharing who you serve and how you serve them. Mm-hmm. That can be done with images. It can be done with text. It can be done with any number of things. Right. I was featured on the news, and I have that video on my homepage. Yeah. So that people can like talk to me and get a sense of, oh, she's not a weirdo. Like, she has 2 kids. She keeps other humans alive. Yes.
Right. I know. That's always the bar, right? Whenever my husband and I are talking, we're like, we've kept like 3 people alive for like 6 years.
That matters, man.
Right? Like, that's impressive.
Not only do you feed them, but they're like somewhat behaved.
They're behaved. People. They're happy. I mean, most of the time. Well, so yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good goal to have most of the time, is keeping the little people alive, right?
Keeping them alive. And happy. When another mom like comes to your website, if she sees that, she's going to be like, okay, she understands my mom boobs, my mom belly, like all of that, because she's been through it. So sharing who you serve is so important.
I love that. That's really important. Okay. What's number 3?
Number 3 is social proof. Mm-hmm. So you need to have at least one testimonial or rave from a past client, and keep it short and sweet. This is not a page of testimonials. Okay. This is your homepage, 1 or 2 sentences at the most. And ideally it will be a testimonial that addresses the fears that someone might have when it comes to hiring someone that does what you do. That's great. I love that. So for instance, for Boudoir, most of my clients say, well, I'm not models like the women on your website. And so many photographers are afraid to ask for those testimonials. Yeah. Be direct in asking questions. Ask someone, what was your biggest fear in hiring a boudoir photographer? Yeah. And they will tell you exactly what they were afraid of. And if you're lucky, you'll get a testimonial to use out of that as well. Right. Yeah. I love that. I send every client gets a post-session questionnaire. Yes. And we turn that into blogs, into testimonials, into emails. It's free content. You don't have to write it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. We actually have 3 post-session emails. One is a request for reviews with all of the links. So Google, Yelp, Facebook, all the stuff. So that they have the link and they can just do it quickly and easily. I even make the recommendation that they can copy and paste it. Yeah. Copy it on one site, go to the next, leave it. And they love to do that. And it's not a problem at all. So many people are afraid to ask. Right. And then the second email is the post-session survey, which is the questionnaire of what did you love? What could we do better? What did he say? What did you say? All of that good stuff. Right. And then the third is our blog feature email, which is about 20 questions. And we ask that they answer 5 because it writes my blog post for me.
Yeah.
Done.
That's great. I know. It's if you can work smarter, why not?
Yes. And so many people are afraid to ask, and these people just spent money with you. They loved their experience with you. Why would you not ask?
I also ask them when they're leaving my studio, both times, like when they leave from the shoot and then when they leave from the ordering appointment, because inevitably they'll be like, this was amazing. I feel so great. And then I'll just ask and be like, hey, if you get a minute, do you think you could write something in the group about your experience? Like it means so much to my potential clients to see,
Yes.
and that's huge. And most of the time they do it.
Yes.
You have to ask.
One thing that I've actually done, and I forget to use these videos because video is just not my strength, but I will actually ask them if I can just take a quick phone video of their experience. And that depends with releases and stuff like that. Sometimes they're not comfortable sharing their face or their images, which is fine. But even if they're not, do an audio. You can put that over an image and make it a video on Instagram or elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Audio. Because you lose so much in text that if you have a video or an audio of someone, it just has that much more bang.
Absolutely. And it's legitimate social proof. You can't get any more, robust social proof than someone that you actually know it's them. Because sometimes, you read these websites and you're like, oh, that's nice. But did they make that up? Like,
yes.
Well,
and on Fiverr, you can go and actually pay people for testimonials, which is like the shadiest thing ever.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. That is shady, isn't it?
Super shady. So it's real. People are doing shady stuff, and you have to show somehow within a very, very small amount of time that you are not one of those people.
Right. So what's number 4?
Number 4 is a call to action. So this is so funny. I do website critiques every Wednesday, website Wednesdays. And it is probably the number one piece of feedback that I give is that you need to have a call to action, ideally above the fold. And above the fold is just fancy website speak for before someone has to scroll. So it will depend on the device that they're looking at your website on, but you want that call to action to be front and center right at the top before someone has to scroll. Because you will have people that come to your website who have been referred to by their friends who have been, they're already ready to book with you. Right. Why are you going to make them go through 5 steps to find out how to contact you?
Right. So how do you feel about websites that have like navigation, like a landing page and then a drop-down menu versus like a platform like Show It where you just scroll up and everything is there on one page? How do you feel about that? Like, is there one you prefer over the other, or?
I don't think that there's a benefit to having a one-page site versus the other as far as the way that it looks, the way that it works. However, when it comes to SEO, you will get a lot more bang for your buck, so to speak, when you have multiple pages, because you can keyword and optimize every single page of your website. Right. A lot of people don't know that. They think, I'm just going to do SEO. Well, every single page of your site can be optimized, including every blog post, every gallery. All of that can be optimized. And that actually kind of leads us to the bonus number 5 of text. You need to have at least 300 words of text on every single page of your website. I know that as photographers, we want to think that everyone is hiring us because of pretty pictures, but it's not true.
Right.
And if we just have pictures on a page on our website, then we're not addressing the robots that have to find us to get those people to us, which is, Google and Bing and Yahoo and all of that stuff. Right. That matters.
Yeah. And also the copy matters, right? Like you need to, when you see copy and there's grammatical errors, and this is like people's first introduction to you. And if you sound like you aren't articulate, they might be less likely to book you, right?
Yes. And so much of that, again, goes back to your ideal client. Like if you have an ideal client, maybe you work with a lot of lawyers, they are going to look for those errors. They are taught to look for those errors. Maybe you're working with moms, and so you can do the whole why with like 20 whys afterwards, because to them, that makes sense.
Right.
It really comes down to your ideal client and who you're speaking to. And a large part of that will be part of your brand as well. I am extremely conversational in everything that I say on my website because I want it to feel like someone's just sitting down and having coffee with me.
Right.
My friend that does corporate events does not speak that way because she's dealing with large corporations. She has a very different ideal client than I do.
Right. So it's important to speak to the client that you're trying to attract.
Yes, definitely. And if you want to attract the women who are over 50, then you need to speak to them that way. You need to speak to them knowing that they have more life experience than the 22-year-old who just got her boobs done. And,
Right.
It's a very different client experience, and the way that you speak to them will be very different as well.
Right. That's some great information and not something that you typically think about, because I know what do photographers waste the most time on? Like when I'm talking to a new photographer, they're either trying to fix their logo, rebranding, or doing their website. Top 3 things all the time.
It is crazy to me to see so many people working on something, and so many people ask me, well, can I just outsource? Yes, you absolutely can. But if you work through the information in my course, or you figure out your rebrand up front, you're going to save yourself so much time and money, because you're going to be able to hand this to a designer and say, these are the pages I want. This is what I want on each page. And then they can go and make it pretty. If you don't know that information, you're walking into this blindly. And it's the same with SEO. I have seen so many people get scammed by SEO, and there's so many. I get emails every day trying to get me to buy SEO, and they're promising things that they can't possibly control.
Yeah.
You need to have that foundational understanding of what you're doing in order to outsource. The answer is yes, you can outsource, but knowing what you're doing first will save you time and money.
Yeah, that's so true. You can't direct someone to do something if you don't know what you need them to do.
Exactly.
And I think that a lot of people get, maybe taken sometimes because they are just trusting someone to do the work when they obviously might not know what they're doing either. And then, you're paying a lot of money for something that really probably won't work that well. So
yeah, and we're talking a lot of money. I've seen people lose $12,000 to $20,000 for SEO. Like, this is not just $100 here. This is a lot of money to invest in something that you have no idea what you need from them. And that is kind of a recipe for disaster in anything, like editing, any type of outsourcing. You need to be very clear about what you need.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we talked about the landing page. We kind of talked about copy. Is there any other main things that we need to think about when we're trying to get someone to convert?
Your about page is something that is, I always say these are the 2 most important pages on your website, is your homepage and your about page.
Yeah.
And that is something that so many people think it just doesn't really matter. It's okay. I'll just put a picture of me up. And your about page, mine is the 2nd most visited page on my website. And I knew that through analytics. If you're not using analytics, get on it, because it's so important to know where people are going on your website. What are they looking at? Your about page is crazy important. That is your handshake. Your, hey, this is me. This is what I do. This is why. And here's why you should hire me. It's a way for you to demonstrate understanding for your ideal client and show that you know how to help them get to where they want to be. Because ultimately, as business owners, we are hired to help someone. And that can be a lot of different things. It can show up in a lot of different ways, but how are you going to help someone? Your about page is a phenomenal place to share that with your ideal client.
Right. So how about the picture? Do you recommend that you use one with your family or one by yourself? Is there a picture that might be better than others?
I think it depends again on your ideal client. If you want to reach moms, then you should probably show your kids.
Right.
If you want to reach corporations, and you probably want a super professional headshot on a gray background or whatever type of background.
Yeah.
But you need to, again, consider that ideal client. And I actually have my About Pages masterclass because there are so many things that you really need to have on your website to show that you are not a weirdo and that you are completely capable of understanding who they are.
Right.
People hire people, not businesses.
Yeah.
And when you, like we said, competing on price is a race to the bottom. When you are adequate or accurately conveying your why and who you serve and how you serve them, they want to work with you. I've had clients say, yeah, I don't care what your calendar looks like. You tell me your date and I will make my life work around it because they want to work with me.
Right.
And that's what you want.
Right. Yeah. So that's great. So we talked about landing page. We talked about the about. Are there any other major tips that you think people should know about websites to really help? Or are those like the top things that...
Those are the top 2 pages for sure. I think that it's also extremely important throughout your website in your copy to speak to someone's fears.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want someone to take this and run with it and be like CNN or MSNBC or whatever and use fear to market, because that doesn't serve anyone.
And by fears, you're not talking about like the coronavirus or global warming.
No.
Specifically related to your business.
Well, fears that are related to your business or to who you serve. So, for instance, my ideal client is typically facing a transformation in her life. Maybe her youngest is graduating high school. And now she's like, I've spent 18 years of my life with these little people. What do I do now?
Right.
I can speak to that fear. I can speak to who you are now and who you were before they were born matters. And it's okay to take care of yourself now instead of your kids. So fears like that, I'm not talking about coronavirus or whatever else, like whatever virus they decide this month.
I'll tell you what, my husband, we've had some discussions about coronavirus. I'll be very honest.
It's real. My best friend's husband is in Border Patrol and they've been getting all of these briefings and stuff. And it is real, but at the same time, like, are we going to live our lives in fear? I don't know. I don't, but some people are freaking out.
Yeah, definitely. This has been so great, Brooke. So tell me about your website. Where can people find you? Can they find you on Instagram? What's your website? Tell us about your course.
I am on Instagram, although admittedly Instagram is not my strength. So my team handles my Instagram. I try.
I doubt.
It's hard though to be everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My website is at businessstraightup.com, all one word, all together. Yes, that is 3 S's. Just businessstraightup.com. My podcast is there as well. And I am launching I keep looking at my calendar because it's over in the corner. I am launching my website course again. It was crazy well received. It's so funny. We had it open and then closed it down, and several of my students were like, no, you have to open. My friend wants in too. So that's always good when the value is there. So the website course will be open again in May. It's called Spiff Up Your Site.
Oh, that's so cute.
I love it. Ash Amberjay is like the queen of naming things. And so I used her little tool for that, because there are so many things, like website shame is real. And I always tell my students, never be okay with a half-ass website. Always use your full ass.
I love it.
Because it's your handshake to the world, right?
Right.
So Spiff Up Your Site launches again in May. And I would love to, Jenn, do you have show notes with links and stuff?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So I will get you a link and we'll get you a discount code.
That's even
all of the listeners too.
Yeah.
We'll get you a discount code because that website class is so important. And I know that all of us photographers, like what we do matters.
Yeah.
And we have to believe that, and we have to be able to convey that. accurately on our websites.
I'm so excited about the discount code because it's almost like Christmas whenever people that I interview are like, I'm going to give your listeners a discount code. I'm like, oh, I love that.
It's perfect. It's like Oprah, right? Like you get a code and you get a code.
Yes, it's perfect. So thank you. And thank you so much for your time today. It's always so good seeing you. So good talking. We're always like on the same wavelength. So
yes,
talking to like-minded photographers and business people. So
it's so nice to, it's so funny. I was talking with Misty last week in Vegas. Yes. And we were talking about how it's so nice to be like surrounded by people who understand.
Yeah,
right? Who are
absolutely.
On the same wavelength and knowing and understanding that these things matter. So thank you so much for having me. I think
You're welcome.
The business side is important and you do an amazing job of conveying that and showing that.
Oh, thanks, Brooke. It was so good seeing you. Thank you so much for joining us. You can follow Brooke at, what is your Instagram again? Business Straight Up? No.
Business Straight Up. Yeah.
Business Straight Up. Yep. And then your website, spiff up your...
Actually, businessstraightup.com will be the easiest place to find everything.
Businessstraightup.com. Perfect.
But spiffupyoursite.com does have the
Spiff Up Your Site. That's like the best website name ever. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye. Bye.